501 Main Street, 5:30 p.m. And we have a guest tonight who was mayor for the day today. And he is going to lead us in our I do that every time, in our Pledge of Allegiance. His name is Lucas, and he is very bright, 6-year-old who's getting ready to go to second grade, right? Yes, okay. Are you ready? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Lucas. You did a great job. Thank you. You can go down, please. Okay, moving on to item number 3, roll call.
Crenshaw,
Here.
Garcia,
Here.
Oltmans, Hellenthal,
Here.
Andrews,
Here.
Tillman,
Here.
Bryant,
Here.
Greenwald,
Here.
8 present.
Item number 4, mayor's correspondence. Tomorrow, Friday, August 4th, we have Back to School Festival at the Trinity United Methodist Church at 2330 Plank Road. They are needing 8 volunteers for that if you are willing to volunteer. It's a great project that's been sponsored by the United Way and the Trinity Methodist Church throughout the years. Stop by and get your school supplies and backpacks, and it doesn't cost a thing. Runs from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and school's just around the corner, guys, so get out and get your stuff. Item number 2 is First Friday, and the theme this week is Dog Days of Summer. Come support their area businesses and shop local. They will be having a dog parade at 4th and Main by the Blue Umbrella at 7:15, so bring your furry friends and have a great time. Then the Western Illinois Thrashers starts tomorrow. It's north of Hamilton, so watch for the signs when you're headed through Hamilton. It's Friday and Saturday, and there's tractor and car shows, train rides, food, music, and lots of fun for the kids. Saturday, August 5th, we have Keokuk's Farmers Market at the River City Mall from 8 to 11:30 a.m. Keokuk Library is having a craft time at 11 a.m. They're making tie-dye book bags. Come join the fun. Keokuk's Library is a great place to be. Don't miss it anytime you have the opportunity. Item number 3, there's Indian tacos and fried bread meals at the Oddfellows Building at 1720 Blondo from 4:30 to 7 p.m., and it's sponsored by the Standing Bear Council. Item number 4, the band New Trick will be playing at the Southside Boat Club starting at 8 p.m. And number 5 is Cruise Night at on our Keokuk Main Street, the car show at 2200 Main Street in the parking lot behind Burger King. It's from 5 to 9. And the favorite car that will be picked there this week is Mayor's Choice. And I promise I won't pick just by the color. So again, shop, eat, drink, swim, play sports, read, and anything that you do, please do it local. Special shout out to the city employees for their continuous cleanup efforts from the storm. Remember to be patient and realize that all this takes time. Last but not least, always be the good. Item number 5 is citizens' request. If we have someone that wants to have a citizen approach the podium for citizens' request, we ask that you take about 5 minutes, no longer. If there's more than one person that's coming, make sure that you keep your comments, if they're the same, to a limited amount of time. Come to the podium, state your name and your address.
My name is Dustin Cackley. I live at 3186 Middle Road. My request or my issue, looking at the agenda, I don't see any type of action or anything further being taken by the council or being discussed on the turbine. That's work is being started across the street. Last council meeting at the workshop, there was a discussion, and I believe a comment was made by someone resembling this guy standing up here talking, was that it would be nice for the city council to put something on the agenda as far as like a resolution or something to show the citizens of this town that you guys are hearing this. And I don't see anything. So I just want to make the comment that that didn't go unnoticed. And if anybody has any information as to why that wasn't done, or if there wasn't a discussion as to why that wasn't put on here, I'd really like to hear from someone that has some information about that.
Staff was not directed to do so. Since we didn't have any direction on it, we didn't put anything on.
So nobody asked, so nobody from the council or the staff asked for that to be
Correct.
put on there? Okay.
Did someone present the petition? I know that someone had put together a petition, but was it ever presented here?
Okay, I know one was started on Facebook because I signed it, but I don't know, I wasn't the one that started it, but I know I signed it.
That
And
I
I
think
don't know
is,
where,
during our discussion, it was, like if enough citizens wanted, so I know that there was a petition, I just don't know where it is.
okay, so that would have to come before you guys, before something was done. Is that,
I think it would be probably helpful.
okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dustin.
I guess, I mean, just from my viewpoint, I'm still kind of confused on how we can actually get involved because the Dam Museum came to the workshop and I was on the phone, so it was kind of difficult to hear, but it sounds like they're still planning on moving forward. And there was a couple people that voiced the concerns that we keep getting back, that we haven't heard of any constituents that are in favor, but we don't own the property. We told the Dam Museum what we're hearing from everybody. And there, I mean, they didn't say, okay, we'll stop or we'll pause it for now. I mean, it just kind of sounded like they're still doing it, obviously. So at this point, what can we actually do?
My understanding is that there were citizens who wanted us to take a vote to at least say that city council had said no. It will not change the outcome. They were wanting a resolution or some sort of vote to say
Okay.
that they're being heard by city council. But again, the vote will mean nothing to the outcome of the project.
Okay.
But as I stated before, it will mean something to the citizens of this town. Right. Oh, I'm under no delusion that it will do anything. All I'm saying is that it would be nice to know that we're being heard. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Anyone else for citizens' request? Item number 6, consent agenda. Minutes of the regular city council meeting and council workshop of July 20th, 2023. Minutes of the safety committee meeting of July 27, 2023. Cash and receipts and treasurer's report for the June 2023. Resolution approving a liquor license for Myers Courtyard, 629 Blondo Street, Class C retail alcohol license effective August 27th, 2023. Resolution approving a liquor license for the Keokuk Labor Temple, Class C, Special Class C retail alcohol license, 301 Blondo Street, 5-day term from September 4th to September 9th, 2023. Special event permit, John Morris firework display on August 19th, 2023, 2 to 11 p.m., 1025 Cleveland Avenue. Sidewalk display permit, TSS Incorporated, 906 Main Street. Motion to pay the bills and transfers listed in registers number 5353 through 5355. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, including the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Item number 7, I need a motion to approve William Tyler Walker to the City Council in Ward 2.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Tyler. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Excited?
Very excited.
Excited, okay. Raise your right hand and you get to repeat after me. I, Tyler Walker,
I, Tyler Walker,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Iowa,
and of the state of Iowa,
and that I will honestly demean myself in office
and I will honestly demean myself in office
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of Councilperson Ward 2.
and will faithfully and impartially
Discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the council
of the Council of Ward 2
of the city of Keokuk
of the city of Keokuk
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and in accordance with the laws of the state of Iowa
and in accordance with the laws of the state of Iowa,
and ordinance of said city,
of the ordinance of said city,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome to the city council. Thank you very, very much.
Mayor Mahoney and Administrator O'Donnell and fellow members of the council, it's really an honor. Thank you.
Right there. Okay, that's great. That's over with, and we got a new council person, everybody. That's great. Okay, old business, we have a motion on the floor that tabled the personnel policy and handbook last time. Do I have a motion to remove that table?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I motion to table this again.
Oh, you have to have a vote on the first one.
Okay, I'd like to table it, so however you want to proceed.
So do we have any discussion on removing it from the table?
Is there a reason that you're looking to table it?
Because we haven't been given the final dress code. And
Or
that's
is the dress
part of
code
the
going to be part of
handbook.
the policy manual, or is the dress code going to be a department level policy?
Well, the handbook references it, so if we don't have the guidelines for the department heads to go by, then I don't know how we can vote on a final handbook, in
Does
my
it-
opinion.
How does it, I thought it was referenced in the policy handbook as that each department will have their own separate policy outside of the handbook?
Yeah. Each department has their own dress code. So police department has a dress code, fire department has a dress code, public works all have a dress code. The only area that does not have a dress code is here at City Hall.
So what I'm asking is that, are those all part of the policy handbook at this point in time, or are those separate?
No, they're separate.
They're
They are not
separate.
part of the policy handbook. They're
not
outside
part of the policy handbook. So then
They
do
are
we feel it
outside of it.
appropriate that we can keep all of them separate as an outside policy from the handbook and just say refer to the dress code policy adopted by the city, this department?
It would be better to have them outside of the handbook because, again, because of the different departments such as police department and everything else, it clutters up the handbook.
I was going to say, I sort of feel that way personally myself, is that I don't know if we need to have a department level policy and a employee handbook for the whole city personally.
There's just nothing that they can enforce. The dress code can't, when it says to enforce it, there is nothing to enforce.
Oh, in the policy, I thought it said,
The handbook specifically says that the department heads
To reference it.
to reference the employee appearance section, but there are no guidelines right now for City Hall.
but what I'm asking is there an enforcement in there? Is that if the dress code is not followed, then they
Yes.
would, so
But they
it
will
says,
be sent home.
Correct. There is enforcement in there that if the dress code is
There's
not
no guideline.
followed,
but the guideline I'm saying though is that that's at a department level. Does it need to be in the employee handbook?
Oh, I don't think it needs to be in there, but there should be one that they can reference when there is. an
correct.
issue.
And we'll be.
So we want to
presenting-
have the dress code done before we have that?
In my
So
opinion.
we pass the employee handbook? How long will that take?
I-
We haven't heard.
Staff thing.
We'll be having a staff meeting next week and to go over the dress code. We've already had one meeting and then there were some changes that were made at the suggestion of the personnel committee.
Yeah.
And so next week, we're going to be having a staff meeting where we'll present the dress code.
So then we could table this for one more meeting or we could make a motion that it's approved once this dress code has been adopted.
Well, I still have a question about the single insurance policy. Did we check that one has not been given out in the retirements that have happened this
T. Rowe
fiscal
Price?
year? And,
That item was removed,
but no one has gotten it?
but no one's gotten it, no. Just the only people that have gotten copies of the,
No, I meant no one qualified for it.
Oh, no,
I
no,
just
no,
don't know
no,
where
no.
that idea came from. So
no,
that
no,
when
no.
it's
What,
presented-
I was under the understanding that that's what we already did, but we don't. What it is we offer, you can continue on the insurance, but it's at your own cost, right? The only time where the city will pay for a single plan after the employee has separated is if they are on a disability, work-related disability from police or fire.
Any other questions around the employee handbook?
So at the present time, we have a motion to remove it from the table. I have a first and a second. We've had the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 No,
I oppose, all opposed?
No.
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 We'll need to have a roll call, please.
Yeah.
Walker. Garcia.
No.
Altmans.
Aye.
Ellenthal.
Nay.
Andrews. Tillman.
No.
Bryant.
No.
Greenwald.
No.
Crenshaw.
No.
7 no, 2 yes.
It remains on the table.
Okay, so that remains on the table, and we will skip number 8 here and move on to new business. Motion to approve the third and final reading of the ordinance amending Title 20, Section 20.40.020, 20.44.020, 20.60.040, 20.60.090, 20.60.100, and 20.68020. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 I'm sorry, I need a roll call.
Garcia.
Aye.
Altmans. Ellenthal.
Aye.
Andrews.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Bryant.
Aye.
Greenwald.
Aye.
Crenshaw.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Okay, that was the third reading, so we can move on to number 10. Motion to approve second reading of the ordinance repealing certain sections of title. Huh? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We have to do the motion to adopt and give final approval of the ordinance.
So moved.
Any more discussion?
Now
Now we need a roll call.
Altmans.
Aye.
Ellenthal.
Aye.
Andrews.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Bryant.
Aye.
Greenwald.
Aye.
Crenshaw.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Item number 10, motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance repealing certain sections of Title IX Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the City of Keokuk. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So the ordinance removes the final sections of the old code language relating to vehicles and traffic. Will now reference Chapter 321 of the Iowa Code in its entirety. Will allow all vehicle and traffic violations to conform to district court proceedings. And in turn, it allows a greater portion of the fine to be sent to the city rather than to other entities.
Any more discussion? We'll need a roll call.
Hellenthal,
Aye.
Andrews,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Oltmans,
Aye.
Now, do I have a motion to adopt and give final approval of the ordinance?
So
We need
moved.
to waive the third reading first. I'm sorry. Any motion to waive the third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So now I need a motion to adopt and give the final approval for the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
I need a roll call.
Andrews,
You.
Andrews,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Oltmans,
Aye.
Hellenthal,
Aye.
Okay, item number, now we need a motion to adopt and give final approval of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I need a roll call.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker, Garcia,
Aye.
Oltmans,
Aye.
Hellenthal,
Aye.
Andrews,
Aye.
Item number 12, I need a motion to approve. I'm a mess tonight, can you tell? I need a motion to approve the initial reading of the ordinance amendment to Title IX Vehicle and Traffic after adding Chapter 9.91 Automated Traffic Enforcement. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I believe the 1 to 5 is excessive.
That's not going to be on the camera. However, it is illegal, and if an officer chose to stop you for that, then that would be different, but the camera will not enforce 1 to 5.
So we'll basically start enforcing at the 6 to 10 and then go up?
I think that was what the original,
The enforcement program would be determined by the council, so if you wanted to set it at 11, we can set it at 11. If you wanted to set it at 7, we could set it at 7. If you want to set it at 3, we could set it at 3. It is worth noting that the 1 through 5 being $50, the fine now is $90 if we were to write the state code. So it is significantly less. I'm not advocating for writing that fine. I'm just saying that for comparables, that fine is much lower than the state code would be. I believe the discussion before was revolving around 11 miles per hour.
Any more discussion?
So
Does
I'm
that
assuming-
fine, will that apply to kids coming and going to school as well?
As far as like 16-year-olds driving to school, yeah, absolutely. It'll go to the registered owner of the vehicle. So most likely, mom and dad are probably going to receive a fine.
So we're going to pass the ordinance first, and then we will have a vote on the enforcement later.
Once the ordinance is passed, we can have some communication about where we want it, where you guys want it set at. You know, it's malleable. Should we discover that there's other enforcement that needs to be had, those fines are set. But certainly we're whatever is recommended by the council is what it'll be set at.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, and this was, when he was here, he's talking school zones. So school zones are the same as, work sites. So $50, if you're traveling fast in a school zone, you're not only potentially endangering other drivers, you're endangering small kids potentially. So I'm in favor of all of it, just because if we save one child's life because we slowed somebody down, it's worth every bit of it. And that's really what it's all about. It's about safety. It's not about making money for the city or anything else. It's about getting people to slow down and realize you're in a pretty serious area here. You need to get off your phones, whatever, and pay attention. I don't even have kids in town anymore, but I hate to hear those calls, and I hate to see that on the news that somebody got hurt when all they're trying to do is cross the road to go to school.
And probably important to note that there were traffic studies done. This is not at every school zone. It was where there was excessive speeding.
Any more discussion? I'll need a roll call.
Bryant,
Hey.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Oltmans,
Aye.
Hellenthal,
Aye.
Andrews,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Now can I get a motion to waive the second and third reading of this ordinance?
So move. Second.
Any discussion? I need a roll call.
Greenwald,
No.
Crenshaw,
No.
Walker,
No.
Garcia,
No.
Oltmans,
No.
Hellenthal,
Aye.
Andrews,
No.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
No.
Okay, we don't need to go on and do the adopting of the final ordinance. Here we go. Item number 12, motion to approve, consider resolution approving agreement with the Horizon Architecture.
Is this for?
Do I have a motion?
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Roquette would like to rent the north half of the first floor addition at the Southeast Iowa Development Center. The space is unfinished and would need certain improvements. Horizon Architecture was originally engaged to provide a concept drawing and estimated cost. A meeting was held with Roquette personnel to discuss the conceptual drawing and review the space. The attached contract with Horizon is for the design at a lump sum cost of $19,500 and will be paid out of the development center's budget, and cost recovery would be through rent to Roquette. We still have to work out some numbers on that and work it through KEDC. But further in the agenda, you'll see that there is a lease with Roquette where they are leasing a portion of the second floor. They want that just until this is ready. So if the numbers come in right, they would then rent this. Their plan is 2 years, possibly a third. We would structure the lease such that they would pay for their time that's in there, and then it would be up to us to rent it to somebody when they're getting ready to leave so that we can continue recovering the cost.
Do we have like a letter of intent from Roquette that would maybe do some cost share with this or anything? Or are we just sticking our necks out for $19,000 without any guarantees?
They haven't talked about a cost share on the architecture, but they've talked about a cost share possibly on the construction phase.
My concern is what this does at the SID Center budget. We don't make any money on the SID Center. If they're only there for 2 years and their rent is $1,000 a month, I mean, it's going to take 20 months for them to pay back this share, and they may only be there for 24 months.
No, the $1,000 is for the second floor space. We have not gotten the rent, have not gotten the,
So what
Rent.
is it, what are we going to make on it? Because currently we lose.
There hadn't been anything discussed about the rent on this, right?
no, there has not been anything discussed on the rent of this.
I mean, do we have an idea?
It depends on what
it's gonna
the
be-
improvements are going to be.
We
It's-
have,
it's gonna
we
be
have
the-
a rough idea, but it's going to be, it'll end up being a negotiation.
Right. And it's going to be
Is it
dependent upon
worth the investment is what I'm saying on a
Yes.
building that we struggle to rent.
Yes. I mean, even if we didn't have somebody in line to lease this, we are never going to lease it by leaving it unfinished. The structure of the lease, we talked with myself, Cole, and then KEDC, would be enough to recoup a significant portion of the investment. And we are also in negotiations to get money up front from Roquette to cover some of the construction costs before they ever move in.
I just want to make sure we're not constantly losing money on the SID Center.
Do we know if Roquette is continuing the same kind of lab work that they had there years ago when they renovated that
No,
section of the
this
building?
would be all office space for them.
It would be an open office concept so that it doesn't make it so that there's walls that you'd have to move and everything. So that's one of the benefits around it is that it's not a space that would just be off space. It would be open office. So it would be able to be used in different ways and fashions.
We do have a potential leaser to come into the second floor space after Roquette moves out to the downstairs. That their lease where they're currently at is up, I believe, the end of the year, and would look to move in as soon as Roquette would move out in January. So there is that to look forward to also.
Okay, also the lease, I know that we're not to that yet, but the lease says Tom Richardson in it. So we'll want to change that as well.
Oh, for the sign, for the
Yeah,
signing.
the agreement says Tom Richardson.
So are they putting any money towards the remodel? Or is that all
For the-
city? I mean, 'cause
So
my
the remodel for the second floor, which is the 1,200 square foot space, which is the lease is coming up, KEDC paid for that, is paying for that remodel. So that is at no cost to the city. The remodel for the first floor, which is approximately 3,500 square feet, we're still in talks with them on them floating money up front for the construction. It would be between the city and KEDC to pay for before the 19.5 for the upfront architecture.
the one thing is that before we can set a lease, we need a better cost estimate, and the only way you get that is through design. I mean, the cost estimate he came up with originally was based on some of the ideas that Roquette gave him, but when they toured the actual area, changes had to be made because of some of the structure. We did find out that, that there is HVAC run to it, so that takes a lot of the cost out. So the initial cost could be less, his initial estimate could be less, it could be slightly more depending upon the design.
I just hope that the goal is that we're not going to hopefully continue to be on TIF the whole time and that it at some point will sustain itself.
Well, right. That's where I'm at. I'm kind of in agreement with what she said originally is, what's it going to cost us? And if we're doing some major improvements, then their lease ought to also reflect that. I mean, if just for numbers, if we're renting that whole bottom space for $100 now, or we're going to spend $5,000 to renovate it, then that lease then ought to go up to $500. So the lease agreement ought to at least fall in line with the money we're fixing to spend to fix it.
And that's exactly what we have proposed to them, is that the lease would we would build into the lease the cost of the renovation, but Roquette has indicated that that if they're only going to be there 2 years and we're doing it on a 10-year amortization, they don't want to be paying for the whole thing up front. They would like to, they would like to pay their 2 years that they're there, and then it would be up to us to rent it. What I will tell you is that if we have the space completed, it's going to be easier to rent it than it is right now.
Well, I understand that, but we're already losing money on the thing. And we can't, as a city council, we can't justify making $20 but spending 100. And I guess this is where I'm at is if we're gonna remodel it, before we sign a lease agreement that, yeah, we'll rent you this for a set amount of dollars, we need to know what we're gonna spend to fix it. And then that needs to fall in line there. And we shouldn't swing one hammer until they've agreed to a lease agreement
Well,
on
we're
money.
not.
Council member, the only way we're going to know how much it's going to cost us before we turn a hammer is to have it designed.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with we need to get
Right.
it
But,
an
but,
estimate,
but
but I'm saying
certainly,
before we actually start physically modifying.
the contract would have to come back before the city council. The contract for bid or the plans for bid has to come back for the city council to be approved to go out to bid. And included in that would be the proposed lease before anything happens on that first floor.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
After approved, do we have an idea of a time frame of how long that would take?
Well, Roquette is on a very tight schedule for this, so I
They
think we
would-
talked
They would
within,
like to be in there.
they want to be in there in
February.
January. So if we want to get a bid and go through all the whole bidding process, I think that the architect would come back with something within a month and a half at the most.
My next question is, are they looking at renting out space that had sustained water damage?
That area did sustain water damage, but the thing is that we've taken care of the leaky roof that caused the water damage. And in actuality, when we were doing the renovation, because there was mold in that area, we actually took out all of the wood studs and walls. So it is an open space right now, which is what they were looking for.
And this did not receive any water damage in the last incident. This is from prior to construction.
Right.
So if it's just a white box, like right now, there's no electric, there's no HVAC, there's nothing. It's just a concrete box. So they would just be putting in like over very simplistic, like this kind of HVAC system where it's not into like each room and things like that to keep it an open space.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Item number 13, consider resolution approving agreement with Bristola for a 90-day feasibility study of the Keokuk wastewater treatment facility.
So moved.
The company would like to see if Keokuk wastewater treatment facility can be modified to produce additional amounts of methane gas. The additional gas produced would then be collected by Bristola, scrubbed, and sold. The city would receive a royalty off the sale. Additionally, Bristola would also be responsible for maintenance and upkeep of the facility's digesters. Bristola will complete a 90-day feasibility study. The proposed agreement allows Bristola to complete the study at no cost to the city, and before anything else happens, they would have to come back with concepts and a plan that would then be approved by the city council at a future meeting.
We won't have any lost time, Tom? Okay.
That was my question. Will this study probably won't impede you in any way. How do you feel about this? It is your facility. How do you feel about it?
There's some certain things we're going to work out. Ultimately, we need to have the final say at what comes into the plant because it can directly affect what goes out with the federal regs. So that decision has to stay with us. And I believe part of that feasibility study we'll bring up things to where we can look at. And I know we're gonna have to discuss some things before it's all said and done, because there's certain things that we can't let go. We need to maintain control of. But I imagine they're gonna address a lot of that in the feasibility study.
I think it's a good idea, but we wanted to know your opinion because it is your facility.
Well, thank you. And also, whether they do it or not, this idea is out there and we need to take advantage of it. And this kind of opens the door and lets us know where we stand and the ability to do so.
Based on what you know, Tom, capturing this methane, would that have any, would it make the neighborhood smell bad?
It shouldn't affect it at all. Right now, we use methane to power boilers, our own boilers. It basically stays in-house. And there's really no smell from that process
No
involved at
leakage
all.
out.
Right. Yeah, it can happen. And after the feasibility study, we are going to have to make some upgrades to different hoses that have collected the gas that I believe are original from when they were constructed. But I figure we might as well let them do the study to find out if that's going to be part of their input into the upgrades first.
And I think Bristol would tell you that if you smell it, they aren't doing their job capturing it.
That's right.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 14, consider resolution approving amendments to the T. Rowe Price Employee Contribution 457 Plan.
In October of 2022, the council adopted an employee contribution 457 plan with T. Rowe Price. In order to comply with the CARES Act and the Secure Act, the plan now needs to be amended as that was included in the packet.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 15, motion to approve. We need to consider resolution approving SID Center lease with Roquette of America.
So move.
Roquette would like to rent offices at the Southeast Iowa Development Center. This is a short-term lease of 5 to 6 months. Keokuk Economic Development Corporation has reviewed the lease and recommends a monthly rate of $1,000 based upon the amount of space being rented.
This is the one where the document says Tom Richardson, just heads up.
Any more discussion?
Do we have an idea of how much space they'll actually be getting for that $1,000 a month?
What was it, Brian? It was
1,200 square feet.
Seems a little low to me, but then again, I'm, still learning about this.
And this lease doesn't require us to do any modifications, any updates at all, is that correct?
not the city to pay for.
That's what I mean.
KEDC is.
Anything they're wanting to do, they're doing at their own cost.
KEDC is paying for the renovations to that space.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 16, do we have any reports from the boards or the commissions?
We have a final notification for the Airport Commission with Paul Schulte. We have a second notification on the Airport Commission, and we have an appointment to the Keokuk Public Library Board. So I can do an omnibus motion for the airport appointment and the Public Library Board.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, item number 17, council liaison reports.
The Oakland Cemetery Initiative is finally having their 5K at Oakland Cemetery on August 12th. You can sign up online on Facebook, at the library, or at the Preservation Committee, they will help you as well. Thank you to Public Works, especially Bob, for making sure that we were able to do this, so we are appreciative. There is also the Marty Hall Tournament at the Keokuk Little League, August 12th, so.
Okay, item number 18, staff reports.
Upgrades to our grit system just recently were completed, and it's working fine. It should last for a number of years.
Riverfront Trail update, we are still waiting on the State Historical Preservation Office. We did, via our engineers, send an email to Scott Flagg, who is our DOT representative, earlier this week, and we have not heard anything back from that. The 18th Street Road of Honor project, city crews have been working with the engineer on doing utility depth locations the last couple weeks. Just the general update, storm damage. The street department is still working on getting brush cleared off the roadways. Our bridge and parks department, the last 2 weeks have been assisting them. The grass kind of died off again and they haven't been mowing, but they'll be back to mowing again next week. Had a Teams meeting with the state DOT emergency relief coordinators. In addition to them, the guys from Lee County and Fort Madison officials were on the meeting. It was an informative meeting. It looks like everything is going to get approved. The only problem with this meeting is the representatives from the Federal Highway Administration were not present. They make all the decisions or the final decisions on what goes on. Right now, we're looking at getting reimbursed. The state still has to set up their state project number before we can make our DDIRs locally. They're looking at hopefully getting stuff finalized by January and then us getting reimbursed June or July of next year. I think that's about it. So it's not streets, it's on streets that are funded by the Federal Highway Administration.
I just want the community to realize that it's not every,
Right, it's not
all
every
of
street in town.
the pickup is not being reimbursed.
So we have two major funded ones, which would be three of them, sorry, Main Street, 7th Street, and then the bypass. And then we have intermediate ones, which are Grand Avenue, River Road, Messenger, Plank, and Middle Road. And then there are feeder streets within town, like High Street, I believe 13th Street, 2nd, 4th. There's a couple of them within town, but those are the ones we would be eligible for. And those have to have at least $5,000 worth of damaged tree down removal.
Are we going to be open? Oh, sorry. Are you done? Are we going to be open for debris drop off tomorrow at the LChem site?
Yes, the Elkham site, well, tomorrow, Friday. Yeah, they'll be open tomorrow. They're
Friday
open.
and Saturday.
They're open till 7 o'clock tonight. They will be open Saturday from 8 to 4.
Just wanted to touch on the fairly high-profile incident we had earlier this week. I wanted to say that our police department did a great job, the men that were working that evening, and we worked in connection with multiple other agencies. We had us plus 3 other agencies within our community, making sure that there was no ongoing threat to the general public during that time. If you've read the news release, you have the details that we're willing to release at this time, but if there's any questions, I could answer those.
I have a couple of items. First of all, kind of not so good news, but then also encouraging news. The company that was looking at the LChem site was through BNSF. They had contacted them, and BNSF was running the request for proposals. Unfortunately, the LChem site was eliminated, but Dennis Frazee with Lee County Economic Development Group hosted representatives from BNSF this week. Let them go and take a look at the LCHIM site, and so BNSF will put that into their system for any possible future opportunities. And staying on the railroad theme, I have spoken with Patriot Railroad. The Patriot? Yes, it's Patriot. They keep changing. So, spoken with Patriot Railroad in regards to the rail bridge, and working with regional planning staff on coming up with ideas for grants. Patriot is very interested in helping us with those grants. They are also looking at spending some of their own money to do an engineering assessment. It's not necessarily an engineering plan, but an assessment to determine what deficiencies are most critical and possibly be able to start phasing the repairs or the improvements to the bridge. So they're very, it's very encouraging that they're willing to work with us, and that previous railroads ownership has not always been as forthcoming, especially with putting some of their own money into helping us see what we need to do with the bridge.
Okay. Item number 19, nuisance abatement appeal.
Wait a second, is Mr. Hanson here? Okay, so on the agenda item is an appeal by Mr. Hanson over a determination by Casey Barnes, Code Enforcement Director, that his property has weeds and junk that she considers a nuisance. So he has a right to an appeal, which he filed correctly, and it's set for hearing today. But it's his appeal, and if he's not here, there's nothing to do at this point. He has to present to you a reason why you should determine it's not a nuisance. So the burden's on him to show up and present whatever evidence he has. So if he's not here, then there's really nothing for you to consider at this time.
Hearing get set.
I'm sorry.
Was he served, or how does the hearing get set?
Well, he showed up based upon the communication from Casey and saw the clerk, I'm sure, got the papers, filed them. I'm assuming he was notified of the time of the hearing.
Gotta go to the microphone. We can't hear you.
What the heck? I had it open.
I'm Casey Barnes, the code official. I just wanted, Celeste, did you mail out to him? You did not mail anything out to him. Okay, so at this point, without his presence, the only thing that I could do is reach out to him and see if.
I would assume you'd want to reset it and probably at least send it by certified mail, if not by actual
Oh, hang on one
service.
second.
If he didn't get notice of the hearing, then we should just reschedule it. And you're right, give him certified notice and regular mail. So if he rejects the certification, that's the
There's some
certified
sort of
notice, and
receipt.
there's also the ordinary mail. So, okay, that, didn't know that wasn't sent out to him. So next time, set it on the agenda and send him a notice. And I think it should come from the clerk, actually. Well, he ought to have a couple weeks, I think. There's nothing in the code that says how much notice you get, but I think, a couple weeks is certainly reasonable. Yeah, if you got it on Monday, yeah, it's a little quick, so, all right.
And I'll reach out as well to, the individual and talk to him. But the nuisance remains at the site.
Well, you
but
probably shouldn't go forward with anything at this time, Casey.
Just,
Just
okay, I'm
save
sorry.
that for the hearing.
Okay,
Okay.
then she'll get the letter. I apologize.
That's all
Okay.
right.
So do we need to make a
Okay, so
motion to
just
table the hearing? And reschedule,
Motion to table
and
appeal.
reschedule, and certified mail.
It needs to be certified and that has to be filed somewhere.
Okay. So there's a motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 20, do we have any new business?
Mayor, I'd like to ask Cole, what's the status on the transmission lines ITC was going to do down along the riverfront and stuff? Haven't heard anything on that for a while, so just wonder where it was at.
I haven't been notified that they've started. Have you, Brian?
The last notification that we received was a couple weeks ago. They were asking us the timeline on our bridge project down there. And we kind of we told them that we pushed that back till they were done. And that was the last correspondence. They haven't, as far as I know, haven't given us any intent to start yet, other than they cleared some brush down there.
But I think they did indicate maybe a September start date.
That could be, I'd have to
Yeah,
revisit
they,
the email.
it rings in my head that they were indicating a September start date.
I want to stay on top of the condition of the roadways, the traffic problems we have and stuff like that when this project starts. So-
Bringing up ITC, I did meet with W.L. Miller this week. Looking at right now, Hazelhurst is on the schedule for the end of the month. We're looking at seeing if what was written in that contract, I guess it's been about a year ago now, is still going to be viable to fix that road today. So the residents out there should be aware that they'll be getting their street fixed here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. I know they've been waiting a long time.
Good deal.
Just repair. It's repairs from the damage that was from ITC putting in their transmission lines.
Have we heard any more about Tumulty Park? I brought it up a while back about a fence. I had another individual ask me Monday, and I know when we discussed it, we talked about we needed to kind of update the fence. We talked about trying to get a fence around the basketball park. This is the ballpark over by the hospital. But the concern the citizen I talked with had was the fact that there's not any fence around the basketball at all, but not on the street side. And that's the concern is they've got kids playing basketball, but as soon as the ball gets off the court, because of the way the park is designed, it runs down the hill out into one of the two streets. And if it's young kids, they just run out in the street. I've stopped many times. I live over that way. That's in my district, obviously, but and she brought it up to me as well, as she's concerned about the safety there. And I know we discussed making it into kind of a multi-use park, turning the one half of it into like a soccer field, turn that around. I just like to also put out there when we look into modifications and redoing it, we really ought to look at enclosing the whole thing in a fence where they come inside to play basketball. That way, if the ball would never end up on a street unless they intentionally threw it over the fence.
We've had some internal talks about that, about the ball field, and a little bit at the park board, but if it's something that we're going to get serious about, we should probably put it on a workshop, because the first thing we would have to do is like decide what kind of a park we would like it to be, a multi-use, and then we would have to engage probably a specialty engineer that kind of does sports fields and that kind of thing, and then we'd go from there.
Then I guess I would request that we, in the near future, get it scheduled onto a workshop where we can actually discuss it. I know it's going to be a long-term thing and potentially not even anything this year.
Right.
You know,
we actually have damage there from the
right, because
storm that we're looking at.
We're getting near the fall. Fall's not too far away, but I would like to see us remodel that enough to be good for everybody involved.
I don't know if this makes any difference, but that basketball court was paid for and designed by a private citizen.
I
It
don't
was
think
put
we
there
would-
by a private citizen.
From the talks that we've had, the basketball court would not be touched during, if we did do some kind of redesign over there, because, I mean, it's in perfectly fine shape.
We'd have to maintain the court, but could modify it so that there's a fence around it, certainly.
Right. And it would just be incorporated into whatever design we were looking at for the rest of the park. I think we've also been contacted by the school district about putting a playground area there for them too. So that would be something they're going to open up the Torrance buildings right up a block away. But they had contacted and asked about it. So.
Okay, any more discussion? With that being said, we will adjourn the meeting.
I do
Take
have
fi-
one item for new business.
Huh?
I do have one item for new business. I had a citizen approach me about ADA accessible parking in and around the city hall, and I just wanted to make sure that we were in line with, we don't have any marked spots on our property. We have some street spots that are nearby, but I think we have more than 10 parking spots. Does that not require that we then have an ADA accessible van spot on our own property?
I
So,
think City Hall only has 8 spots, don't we?
well, so what it is staff is going to be working on amending the ordinance to have one right out here.
Does that work well with vans and how they operate?
Sorry.
So like a lot of people, when they are in a wheelchair and they're in a van, they have to exit out through the passenger side. And if there's no van accessibility for them, then they're entering out into the street when they're entering.
It would be, if they're coming out the passenger side, it would be right out here. And they'd be
Okay,
parking heading that way. So they would have the ability to have van accessibility.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'd like to thank Cole for this report. But I do believe it's Tomey Park, not Joyce. But thank you, and it's something that we should be looking at because it looks like the contract's up here in a couple of years, so we need to look at it.
It expires actually in December 2025.
Any more new business? With that being said, we're going to adjourn, take 5 minutes, and we'll come back to the workshop.
What contract are you talking about? Does he know what he's talking about? So does he even know what he's talking about? He said Tommy Park. Joyce Park, we have a contract. I don't know.
So it's you know, it's like I'm curious. What was that?
That's going to be part of it. And I can print out a repair.
No,
And then we just have to establish where some. I mean, it would be, part of it. What I was saying, very similar to this, is that the handbook just says, that the dress code, you got a copy of the dress code that's been established by the department. Don't have to. Just. And it says where the gas.
And that way, that way we don't have a problem. It's not one person. No, we're not. I like that. I could It's in the book. That's no bad idea. Takes the gray out. I like Koga.
How you doing, Mike? You guys, I heard you guys' sponsor was like amazingly great.
Let's go, guys.
So happy for you. Oh, the River Fest.
Going to open up the council workshop, August 3rd, 2023. First item on the agenda is 3E SDS service.
The city currently uses paper safety data sheets, or SDSs, for all chemicals stored at our facilities in binders. This method, while compliant with federal regulations, is cumbersome, and sheets are not updated as they should be. Additionally, binders for the sheets should be kept at the facility and maintained at both City Hall and the fire department. 3E Protect is a cloud-based service to manage SDS sheets. They have two products. The basic version is under $500 a year, but is limited to searches only. It does not provide automatic updates, and the number of searches and users are limited. The full version provides the following: unlimited SDS sheets, users, locations, product attachments, and enterprise document storage. Chemical search and analysis, chemical approval, access to 80+ regulatory lists and reports, secondary container labels, templates, 3E Protect mobile application, where this can be on a phone. You can be out in the field and be able to call up an SDS sheet. This was something that the fire department thought would be very beneficial if they're coming to not just our facility, but some other facility, and they know there's a chemical in there. They can then call it up. And there is a 24-hour hotline that comes up here in the next bullet point, plus an access to 3E's SDS library. As I said, the hotline with assistance with an incidental spills and poison control specialist. Startup materials include 1 kit per new location, which would be a poster, 3 phone stickers, and 3 wallet cards. Additional materials available for $5 per piece plus shipping, but I don't think we would necessarily need additional. Electronic materials are available for customers to print themselves. Sheets are updated automatically, and our database would be accessed by multiple users at their facility. The service also has a 24/7 hotline that can be called for information on chemicals or substances. Department heads and managers were given a chance to review the materials on the service. Response was positive. Chief Rose liked the ability to use the hotline in the field so that when a chemical or substance is encountered during an emergency, the incident commander can quickly access important information necessary to deal with the substance. The annual cost on this is $4,000 to be split between 8 departments. Each department, the cost to each department is $500. One council member ahead of time had asked if this was a software that could be integrated with other softwares that we're using, and it's no, because it's a web-based surface. So I'm asking for questions, comments.
So if it's web-based, then does that just mean they would just go to that web, have a login, and then they could access everything? And that'd be all of your, pretty much every city vehicle that had any type of internet capability, like police cars and cell phones or whatever.
It can be accessed off a cell phone, and again, it has the 24-hour phone line, which I said was the fire department found beneficial. It makes automatic updates to your sheets. So if something new comes out for this chemical, it automatically updates it because it's in our inventory.
And I guess the only thing we would have to make sure is if we put a different chemical in, we would have to manually make sure they were aware of that to update. Because they're not going to know that if we don't inform them.
Right. So
that'd be on us, which that's kind of common sense. $500 is a really, I mean, when you're talking per department, that's a really cheap investment for the safety that this would. I mean, like you're talking just police department or fire department here, but every department, even the waste department or whatever, if they respond somewhere and they don't know that there's a certain chemical in there until after they get in there and they realize, hey, we see these markings on these containers and they're not prepared for that. Now you've got a whole different problem going on. So for them to know going into that, from a first responder point of view, that's honestly, it's a no-brainer.
I'm also in agreement of this. I think for that cost of an annual basis, just having it constantly updated alone and with that access is worth the cost. I know that when you have to manually update things, it doesn't get done. So with that having taken care of for us, I feel like what Mr. Tillman said, it's a no-brainer.
Does each department, they're all in agreement that it benefits them and they have it in their budget?
Public Works does, yes. I mean, so each of the buildings that are underneath Public Works has to have their own inventory, and
I was wondering that every department is on board.
The department managers all reviewed this, and those that commented back were positive.
I think the biggest benefit of it is the automatic updates, that portion of it. The rest of it, there are emergency management apps out there that have this information available. It's app-based for free, but it doesn't provide the service that this does. I would be asking for an adjustment to my budget next year to cover that $500 though.
Any more discussion? Number two on the agenda for the workshop is the extension of UTV hours of operation.
Council members have received requests that they extend the hours of the operation for UTVs, not golf carts, just UTVs. Current permitted hours are 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Request has been to extend the evening hours to allow for use during certain community activities. For example, school sporting events. Excuse me. So there are some options here. You can extend the hours to 10 or 10:30, just blanket. You can extend the hours to 10 or 10:30 for a specific time period. For example, April to November, when a lot of the sporting events are going on, community events are going on. Extend the hours 10 to 10:30 on days with home varsity school activities, which might be kind of cumbersome. Extend the hours to 10 and 10:30 on days with home varsity events or community celebrations. So we're just looking for some guidance if you want to extend them, and which are the options you would like.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I asked about this because I've had a couple of questions from people who were in favor of the UTVs. Talked to Chief Baum. It doesn't sound like the UTVs have caused any issues. There may have been a citation written to someone who has had citations prior to the actual code being enforced in Iowa. They're just wanting to be able, and they have headlights, they have those sort of things. They just want to be able to be out after 9, especially in the summer. I think it's probably easier to patrol if it was a blanket statement and not per event.
I would agree that I think that option 3 and 4 is too confusing. I don't really know if a lot of people would pay attention like, oh, this event's happening today, so I'm allowed to do this. I don't think anyone's going to pay attention to that. So I would rather just do option 1 or 2, and I'm okay with 1.
I'm in favor of 1.
I'm in favor of just a blanket across. I mean, it makes it simpler for everybody because, if we have it April, November, somebody's going to get out 30th of March. Well, I didn't realize I couldn't write it yet. If we just do it across the board at 10:30, that easily covers any home game, that pretty much covers any real activity. And the few that would be out past that, they're not going to follow the rules anyway. If the ones that are not going to abide by this are going to be the ones that are going to potentially cause you issues in the first place. And as previously stated, as you know, this is what I do right now, but all of them that are produced nowadays have got factory tail lights and factory brake lights and factory headlights. We put turn signals on 90% of them that we sell, and they've got rear view mirrors. The turn signals kits we buy that we put on, they come with a horn and flashers and all that. They're basically a small car by the time they're on, and you got to be legally licensed to drive it. And they come with seat belts from the factory. Yeah, they are. So I would vote for a blanketed, just 10:30 across the board, just to make it simple.
Chief, do you have a preference if we just make it a couple months versus just overall?
From the police department perspective, I don't think we're really interested in having to remember any more rules that go along with this ordinance. Remembering what streets they can be on and hours of operation, I think is plenty. So I would prefer a blanket ordinance change if you're choosing to change it.
Thank you.
Chief, could you review the ordinance before they change it, just to make sure there's nothing else in there that possibly may need change? Because it does, it's an expense anytime we do an ordinance. So if we're gonna change an ordinance, we should review it and make sure there's nothing else in there that you may or may not want changed.
What is the reason for leaving the golf carts out? Is it the lighting or?
Yeah, that's the issue with golf carts is the ordinance requires a lot less of the golf carts.
Well, legally, aren't bicycles even supposed to have lights if they're on the road after dark?
At night, yes.
Yes.
And that's the thing. So my understanding of the state code is they have to follow all applicable state road rules. And so if the golf cart doesn't have lights on, he can't be out after dark anyway, legally, no matter what, no matter what it is. So, if that's.
I don't know it's not in front of me. I didn't know whether the golf carts had to have lights or what their rules and regulations were. That's all I'm asking. Pardon me?
It's a lot more lenient on the golf carts.
And I understand. I was just asking.
Yeah, it's brakes, slow moving vehicle sign, bicycle safety flag, and safety belts, I believe.
I guess this is my question. Do we police motorcycle and mopeds in the same way that we're policing UTVs?
So that's going to be the argument, is from a safety perspective. That was the issue with the UTVs initially, is they're not as safe, and they're not. If they're in an accident, they're at a lot more risk. But to your point, so are motorcyclists and so are moped riders.
I just think that it's sort of a certain aspect. I think in the middle of the night, often when we have a snowstorm, you have people out with UTVs that are pushing snow with those vehicles as well. I guess I just seem it, to me, I feel like this in a year, sometime somebody's going to come back and say, can't we just have them all the time? They're just the same as a motorcycle and a moped. My parents have a UTV that has a plow in the front.
Nowadays, it's about half and
The
half.
ones that I'm seeing are the four-wheelers and the.
As far as snow removal goes, we've seen both, and our officers use their discretion on when to enforce these ordinances. If you're, removing snow in a safe manner and you're not damaging property, we're not going to write you a citation. You're helping.
I guess I just wonder if like in a year's time, we're going to be back here and somebody's going to say, well, can't we just drive them around 24/7?
That's
The same as a motorcycle and a moped.
I don't know that.
Sorry, that's probably going to be the next question you guys get. If you make adjustments,
Be
the
honest.
next step's probably going to be.
Anybody who's asked has only ever asked for like an hour extension.
No,
Some
I
even
know.
have said like, could I get 30 minutes because I was at a football game? That's literally, I've never heard anyone be mad even about like the morning time.
I'm just curious, is from a city's perspective, if we're going to change the ordinance, do we save ourselves some time and money
And say all the time.
and just say that, I guess it's the same as a motorcycle and a moped and just say all the time? I'm not saying I agree with any of this. I'm just saying does it make sense? Because is this going to be the next, I'm just saying it's motorcycles and mopeds are running around at midnight. And we know that. And we know they're also,
And that may be the next natural progression that you guys get. This may not be a bad step to kind of gauge how many are operating at night and how they're operating, and if this kind of opens the door to people thinking they can ride around at 1 a.m. And if it needs revisited a year down the road to extend again, then that's something you guys would have to consider.
I am pleasantly surprised because I think lots of people who were not in favor of the ordinance have said like, oh, I didn't realize there weren't as many as I thought. I think they thought the ordinance would come through and you'd see hundreds of UTVs. And I don't know that I see one a month.
And the people that I heard that weren't in favor of it, once we told them that it didn't include ATVs, a lot of people thought that it did include ATVs. So then once we clarified that, a lot of people were like, okay, it's fine.
And some of that may have come the way it was presented, was that this was going to be a big influx of money on these permits. And I believe we did like 76 permits last year, and I think we're up to 45 or so this year.
Any more discussion? This meeting is adjourned.
Okay, let me shut things down here.